What's up, Tiger fans? Welcome to On the Trail with Clemson Sports Talk. I am Morgan Thomas. This is Luke Winstall, and we're going to talk about Clemson football recruiting, specifically one of their big commits that they got today, January 13th, in tight end, 2024 tight end, Christian Bentancur. Luke, I know this is some buzz after all the news of a new offensive coordinator just a day before, but tell us, how did this come about with Christian becoming a Clemson Tiger?
Morgan, it has been quite a happy past 24 hours for Clemson fans. They pick up now. The Tigers have commit number 3, the second 4-star alongside Tavoy Fegan in this class. Bentancur, the tight end, came down to a top 3 that he announced the day after Christmas. Oregon, Clemson, Ohio State. It's been tough for schools like Clemson to recruit that area. Bentancur is from Illinois, so speaking geographically, Ohio State has locked down a lot of the talent in that area recently. That's not surprising. But when you look at this race, their tight ends coach, Kevin Wilson, recently departed in December, which left Ohio State a little bit lagging in the race behind Clemson and Oregon. It was a very tight top 3. Then when you look at overall history, Clemson's had 3 guys drafted, if you count Davis Allen likely being picked in the spring. In the past 10 years, Oregon hasn't had a tight end drafted since 2012. So in terms of the position, Clemson has really been better at developing it when you compare side by side in terms of NFL talent. But Cal Richardson was a driving factor, Clemson tight ends coach. He helped really drive that over the top and push through for Bentancur. Richardson is a calming presence. If anyone understands high school football and how to relate to young prospects, it would be him. He's on the trail. He's won championships as a high school head coach. When he coached in Georgia over at North Gwinnett, coached Jared Cook, coached over with Cordero Patterson. He was one of his guys over when he coached in the Carolinas. So Richardson helped drive it. He's a calming presence. He's someone that has developed well. And Clemson uses the tight ends fairly well. I would argue maybe Davis Allen should have been used a little more this past year in the passing game in some of the games. But when you look at the big picture, Bentancur has an offense where he can really come in and be a safety blanket type of player and someone that gets used like that for the Tigers.
Well, I really like what I see so far. If you haven't seen his film, we will get into that later on in this clip, but 6'5", 240 pounds. So definitely not a guy you can push around too easily out there. And we will see in the film for sure. Again, you mentioned Woodstock, Illinois, Marion Central Catholic High School. It's really nice for you to mention that Kyle Richardson was a part of this recruitment as well. There's been doubt over how and where and what the Clemson offense and the staff is doing. And in this week, there's been a lot of changes at the head of it, which is the offensive coordinator change now to Garrett Riley, who we believe will start to incorporate tight ends more and maybe get back to the glory days of Clemson tight ends. I know fans out there, including myself, have been really looking to see the tight ends used more. We thought that they would be used more this year than they were, and hopefully this will bring into more use from that position. Obviously, with Kyle Richardson having a voice in the passing game and also being on the recruiting trail, and this being his position that he coaches specifically, things are looking up for Clemson offensively for tight ends. And so Bentancur gets in at a good time, I think. Again, 4-star overall, 102 or 102nd nationally overall. So, he's right up there in the top 100. It's really, really good overall player. He had offers from, as you mentioned, Ohio State, Oregon, South Carolina, LSU, Ole Miss. Let's take a look at some of his film, if you don't mind. I want to see what he brings to the table and what he adds to this class for Clemson. Again, he'll be a freshman. You won't see him. Clemson's already turned the page to 2024 now. So this is 2024. He won't be in this next season, but he will be in 2024, a freshman. So pulling up the film here as we take a look at it. This is from his junior film. So this is his most recent stuff that is found on huddle.com. I'm going to go ahead and play it here. What are some things that stick out to you about Bentancur?
I think you'll notice quickly as you look, first off, one of the things you want to look at. Where does he line up? He can be attached and more inside of the formation, but also completely detached. He can play on the boundary. He's got, as you see, some big playability at tight end, which for his size is especially impressive. But this play right here, Morgan, is one that really stands out. Releases off against the defensive back. Don't know how good that ball is, but he's able to track it down and fight through the defensive back. And the thing that I like that comes up throughout this reel and comes up as we go here is pass catching over the middle. We talk about a safety blanket. Clemson has a young quarterback right now in Cade Klubnik and Christopher Vizina behind him. It's going to be young guys at the position that are maturing, that once we get to a 2024, 2025 season, we'll really enjoy having safety blanket type of guys that can make contested catches over the middle. Bentancur, of course, at the high school level, showing off his ability to make plays, but right here, going over, fighting through some traffic, and he's been able to make catches with guys around him, battling guys when guys are committing pass interference penalties. And to me, that's someone that a quarterback really could trust, and that's a fit at Clemson.
When you look at physical measurables, you're looking for a Power 5 tight end. You're looking for that 6'4", 230 range. He's a little bit heavier than that. He's the right size that you want. You see that he's one of those guys that can go out there and run a deep route and just beat the guy in front of him. He's a one-on-one type guy. When you look at his measurables, again, the size sticks out. The first thing I said to you when we looked at his film was, this is a defensive end out there. I mean, his height and weight is like Xavier Thomas out there beating somebody deep, you know? And so when you think about that, my first thought goes back to, and I don't want to give him too much hype already to start in, but this is a Dwayne Allen type tight end. Somebody that's not some tall, lanky guy that's really more of a wide receiver, and somebody that's not just, going to sit there and block all the time and do nothing else for your passing game, even though blocking is very important. This is definitely a guy that doesn't mind going down deep and has some really good hands. I think his high school coach even mentioned on social media that 90% of the time you just send him deep and you throw it to him.
It makes sense. And when you look at overall the big picture for Bentancur, he is a national recruit. You talk about, even around consensus top 100 nationally in the rankings. He's not that well known. He's not that flashy. People are just beginning as fans to turn the page into that 2024 cycle. So I think it's fair to say, what does this mean for Clemson? It's not getting that 5-star at the top commit to start off the class, but it's a really good foundational builder because the past class in 2023 was very good. But Morgan, why was it ranked so highly? It was the defense that really carried it. So for Clemson to go early in a class and pick up a spring commitment, maybe even get an anchor guy that can help them recruit other players that he's familiar with, and Bentancur, really can allow this Clemson program to build an offensive class that can replenish at some of the skill positions or pass catching positions that are going to be needed for the future, and that talent acquisition that might have been down a little bit over the past year or two. And Clemson's building a good foundation, at least, for their 2024 class on the offensive side. So that's the encouraging part to me in the big picture.
Well, I appreciate you getting in and talking some Clemson football. Recruiting is one thing that you love to do. Make sure to follow my guy at Luke Winstall over on Twitter, myself at The Morgan T Show, and the Clemson Sports Talk. You can always get your latest news there on all things Clemson. So we're going to be continuing videos like this to talk more recruiting and do some exclusive videos for you, for the viewers there on Clemson Sports Talk. So thanks for watching. Again, a good start for Clemson on the offensive side of the ball in recruiting for 2024.